Jim Baker, The Life and Legacy of the Forgotten Mountain Man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an exploration of one of the most compelling yet overlooked figures in American frontier history. Jim Baker, often referred to as the Forgotten Mountain Man, was a towering presence, both literally, standing at 6 feet 4 inches with bright red hair, and figuratively, in his impact on the West. He embodied the multifaceted nature of frontier life: trapper, guide, army scout, Indian fighter, mapmaker, homesteader, pioneer rancher, businessman, husband, and father, multiple times over. His story is interwoven with those of legendary figures like Jim Bridger and Kit Carson, and he was esteemed as one of General John C. Fremont's favored scouts. Today, we delve deep into the life and legacy of Jim Baker, illuminating his indispensable contributions to the exploration and settlement of the American West. Jim Baker was born on December 19, 1818, in Belleville, St. Clair County, Illinois. His heritage was a blend of Scottish and English ancestry, a lineage that perhaps imbued him with a resilient and adventurous spirit. The early 19th century in Illinois was marked by expansion and opportunity, yet young Baker felt confined by the burgeoning settlements. Little is documented about Baker's early years, but it is known that he attended school until he began an apprenticeship as a shoemaker, a common vocation of the time. This apprenticeship lasted only about a year, reflecting his restless disposition. From an early age, he harbored an enduring love for the outdoors, a passion that would chart the course of his entire life. At the age of 20, in 1838, Baker made a life-altering decision. He borrowed $20 from his mother, a significant sum then, and set out for St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis was the gateway to the West, bustling with explorers, traders, and those seeking fortune or adventure in uncharted territories. While in St. Charles, Missouri, Baker's striking appearance caught the attention of the seasoned mountain man Jim Bridger. Recognizing potential in the young man, Bridger hired him for the American Fur Company, a powerful enterprise dominating the fur trade. This encounter marked the beginning of a lifelong friendship and partnership. Soon after, Baker embarked on his first expedition aboard the steamer St. Peter's, traveling up the Missouri River, a journey fraught with natural hazards and the risk of conflict with indigenous tribes. The party proceeded overland to Fort Laramie, a key trading post, before heading west over South Pass to the 1839 Green River Rendezvous in present-day Wyoming. At the rendezvous, Baker met Kit Carson, another iconic figure of the frontier. Immersed in this community, Baker honed his trapping skills. Between 1839 and 1840, he trapped along the Green River and into the Wind River Mountains, areas rich in beaver and other fur-bearing animals. In the fall of 1840, Baker joined around 60 mountain men and 800 Shoshone Indians in Brown's Hole, a secluded valley providing shelter and resources for wintering parties. Supplies from the final rendezvous were delivered by Henry Frabe, accompanied by Father Pierre-Jean de Smet. Baker, Bridger, Frabe, and Jack Robinson wintered on Henry's Fork of the Green River. After completing his 2-year contract, Baker returned to Illinois in 1841 to visit family. However, he found settled life stifling, stating he couldn't live where people were so thick. In St. Louis, Baker joined a wagon train headed for California, captained by Thomas Broken Hand Fitzpatrick and accompanied by Father de Smet. As the meat supplier, Baker's hunting skills were invaluable. On July 23, 1841, at the Green River, they met Henry Frabe's party. The group split. Some continued to Oregon, others proceeded to California, the first Americans to arrive there overland. Bridger learned of a coalition of Sioux, Arapaho, and Cheyenne warriors intending to attack trappers. He sent Baker and 2 others to warn Frabe. On August 20th, 1841, Frabe's group fortified an island at the junction of a stream, now Battle Creek, and the Little Snake River. After Frabe was killed, the 22-year-old Baker took command. Demonstrating tactical acumen, he led the defense. Baker, Bridger, and 10 others embarked on an expedition to the southwest, traversing the Rockies toward the Little Colorado River. They encountered Apache tribes, resulting in skirmishes and the loss of 4 men. Persuaded by the Utes to leave the area, they returned to Bridger's camp 9 months later. In 1844, General John C. Fremont returned to Brown's Hole. Baker, Bridger, and Kit Carson joined him to explore Colorado's 3 central parks: North Park, Middle Park, and South Park. Their expedition provided valuable geographic information. Around 1853, Baker married Meteets, whom he called Mary. Together, they had 10 children. In 1850, Baker operated a ferry across the Green River at the old Overland Crossing on the Oregon Trail, a critical junction for westward migration. His ferry was highly profitable. During peak times, he earned up to $600 per day, a substantial income. In 1849, the Mormons declared control over Fort Bridger and surrounding areas. They granted exclusive ferry rights to a church leader and dispatched 150 men to seize ferries, issuing arrest warrants for Bridger and Baker. Facing conflict, they sold their operations. Baker's activities over the next 2 years are unclear. In 1855, Baker arrived at Fort Laramie, collaborating with Lieutenant Gouverneur K. Warren to produce detailed maps during the Sioux Wars. His map covered vast areas from Fort Laramie to Salt Lake City, north into Idaho, and east of Yellowstone. As tensions with the Mormons escalated, Baker investigated the 1857 Mountain Meadows Massacre, attributing blame to the Mormons. Brigham Young allegedly placed a $5,000 bounty on him, forcing Baker into caution. In 1857, after Fort Bridger was burned, Captain Randolph B. Marcy led a 650-mile expedition for supplies to Taos, New Mexico. Baker and Goodale guided the party through harsh conditions. After 52 days, surviving on mule meat and wild mint, they reached Fort Massachusetts. Baker served as a scout under Jim Bridger at Fort Phil Kearny. In the 1867 wagon box fight, they used wagon boxes as fortifications against 1,000 Lakota warriors. Equipped with new breech-loading rifles, their defense was effective. In 1879, during the Ute Uprising following the Meeker Massacre, Baker moved his family to the Colorado Territory, homesteading 160 acres along Clear Creek. He built a ferry to aid miners heading to Gold Hill and Central City. Baker opened a store supplying essential goods and provided meat as a hunter. In 1866, he filed Colorado's first coal mine claim near present-day Erie, recognizing the area's potential. After his wife's drowning in Clear Creek, Baker built a toll bridge in 1865, improving safety and transportation. The surrounding areas honored him by adopting his name for various localities, contributing to Denver's growth. In June 1867, Baker was severely injured when a Spencer repeating carbine malfunctioned. During a shooting match with Utes, the magazine exploded, breaking his chin, lacerating his neck and shoulder, and severing fingers. By 1873, Denver's population boom drove Baker to move. He settled in the Little Snake River Valley near the Colorado-Wyoming border, building a fortified home resembling a fort. Its strategic design offered surveillance and defense. Baker continued ranching, hunting, and raising his family. In 1879, he assisted General Wesley Merritt during the unrest after the Meeker Massacre. Merritt noted finding Baker ready with his Sharps rifle, exemplifying his enduring commitment. In 1895 and 1896, Baker serves Grand Marshal for Denver's Festival of the Mountain and Plain, reconnecting with old friends. Despite modernization, he avoided amenities like electric lights and elevators, reflecting his frontier sensibilities. In 1897, after surgery in Denver, Baker prepared his affairs, settling land to his daughters. He died peacefully on May 15, 1898, at 79. Buried overlooking the Little Snake River, his grave is shadowed by Baker's Peak. Baker's distrust of journalists led to limited contemporary records. Over time, his history was pieced together from various sources, revealing his extensive exploits. Despite being forgotten, Baker's legacy endures through places bearing his name. His life exemplifies the spirit of mountain men who shaped the American West. Remembering figures like Baker enriches our understanding of history. Jim Baker's journey from restless youth to legendary mountain man embodies the pioneering spirit. His story, once nearly forgotten, deserves recognition. By delving into lives like his, we preserve the legacy of those who forged paths into the unknown.